That's excuse me, WLTERPINEDA.
Sir, you can sit down, please. Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Pineda.
Good morning.
Mr. Pineda, where are you employed, sir?
I'm self-employed and I work for a company called Marathon Photo.
Okay. And just so everyone can hear you in the back, I'm going to need you to lean forward and speak into the mic a little bit, okay?
Okay.
Okay. And how long have you been employed in that position?
I've been doing video enhancements for almost 30 years.
Okay. And what were you? How were you employed previously?
I was employed by a company called Pinkerton. I went there until the company closed down, and I went independently.
And can you tell us a little bit about your educational background?
I got a degree in professional photography and design.
Okay. In your current position, how did you become involved in that line of work?
The company that I was working for, we were taking care of financial institutions, taking care of people that were doing forgeries and bank robberies. So I was able to be trained by the company to be able to get the images that they needed for the person that committed the crime.
And do you have any relevant training or?
The company trained me at the time.
Okay.
Because back then it was film.
Sure. How do you see it? I'm sorry.
Back then it was film. Then it became video or VHS, CDs, and then hard drives.
Mr. Pineda, how do you stay up to date on your training?
I follow the training on the experience that I have to do the same things on new cases.
Do you have any specific, like, continuing courses that you take?
Yes, I do. I became a bilingual interpreter in legal, medical, and educational interpretation.
What kind of certifications have you obtained?
That will be the legal and the medical interpretation certification at UGA.
Approximately how many, video enhancements have you performed over the course of your career?
I would say thousands.
Okay. Your Honor, at this time, I move to admit State's proposed Exhibit 10. May I approach the witness?
All right, has that exhibit already been shown to defense counsel?
Yes, it's been served in discovery.
Right in discovery?
Yes, Judge.
All right, you may approach the witness.
Mr. Pineda, do you recognize this document?
I do.
What is it?
My resume?
Okay. Has there been any alterations or changes to that document?
No, sir.
Okay. Your Honor, I move to admit State's proposed Exhibit 10, previously served to defense counsel to evidence.
Any objection to States 10? Purpose of the motion. All right, States 10 is admitted.
Mr. Pineda, have you been qualified as an expert before?
I do.
What states?
Georgia.
Okay. And what courts?
State.
Okay. About how many times would you say?
Over 50 times.
Okay. Can you describe for the court the method video enhancements are performed?
Yes, I do. When I get a video, I check the images, the quality of the video. When I get to find the image that I'm interested in, I will divide the image or the screen in 4 sections, and I will get 1/4 of that section to follow up on the particular image or interest of the image to enhance the video.
Okay. What kind of results can be expected from, enhancing video evidence?
The result could be a better view of the evidence given by the prosecution.
Is this type of video enhancement, like you described, just described for the court, have other law and agencies used this type of service?
Yes, they have.
Just prosecution?
Prosecution, defense attorneys, police departments, GVI, and FBI.
Okay. And as far as you know, is it generally accepted?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Are there any kind of standards or control, how video enhancements are performed?
You have to follow a protocol, meaning when you divide the images in 4 sections, that 4 will have to be get the first image, and if it's too small, then you go to a bigger image. And if he wants it to be bigger, then you go to a bigger image.
And that standard that you just described for the court, did you follow those procedures?
Yes, I did.
Okay. What did you enhance in this case?
In this particular case, I enhanced two videotapes or two videos, one from a parking lot area by a car driving by and a gas station.
Okay. And you did use that standard for the enhancements in this?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Your Honor, at this time, we would ask that you, that the court qualify Mr. Pineda in forensic video analysis based on his experience, his background, training, and the fact that this is well established.
Say forensic video analysis?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Anybody wish to vote out of the witness?
Yes, I do.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Adams.
Thank you. On behalf of Mr. Williams. Mr. Pineda, good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
You can hear me okay?
Yes, I do.
All right. I want to ask you a few questions, please, about the work that you've done and what you just testified to. And if you don't understand the question, please let me know and I'll be happy to rephrase, okay?
I will.
You indicated that you've been qualified as an expert previously
Yes, I have.
in the state courts here in Georgia.
Yes, sir.
And you've been qualified in what field or in what particular category specifically?
Video analysis and video enhancements.
Now, you stated earlier, I want to ask you some questions about the protocol that you referenced. The state asked you whether or not there is a particular protocol that you follow in regards to video enhancement. Could you describe for us what that protocol actually is, please?
The protocol is to follow up the section in which I'm involved to enhance, meaning I have to divide the screen in 4 sections. That 1/4 of the sections, I follow up the same size, the images in which are being involved on the video analysis.
All right. So that's a description apparently of what you actually do in terms of video enhancement.
Yes, it is.
But in terms of the protocol, are those protocols recorded anywhere? They're written protocols that govern exactly how you enhance a
The
video.
protocol is involved in the images given to the prosecution.
Okay.
Every detail is given to them in every folder, tells you a description of what it was done to that particular image.
Okay. So would I be correct in that what you're saying is that when you forward what you consider to be the enhanced video to the prosecution, you have instructions or you're telling them exactly what you did to enhance that video?
I did not write anything to that matter. I just let them see and see for themselves for what I have done.
But in terms of when I say protocol, are there any written protocol from any agencies, any organizations that talks about the best practices for video enhancement that you
No.
are aware of?
No,
There are none?
not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Are you aware of whether there are any publications that make reference to the mechanism that you use, the protocol that you use, any publications that you would look to in regards to video
No.
enhancement? None?
None.
You referenced earlier in your testimony that the video enhancement is used by other agencies. Are you familiar with whatever protocols are used by those agencies in video enhancement?
They don't use any protocols for me to use, no.
Okay. You responded to one of the prosecutor's questions earlier. He asked you whether or not you know if the standard of video enhancement or the practice of video enhancement that you utilize, whether or not it is, quote, generally accepted. And you said it is.
Yes, it is.
Do you know by what agencies or what entities that protocol is generally accepted by?
It has been accepted in the Cobb County, Fulton County, and Gwinnett County.
Okay. And when you're responding to it being accepted, are you talking about your being it has been used in those counties. Video enhancements has been used in those counties. Is that what you mean?
Yes.
Okay. All right, thank you, sir. I have no further questions for this witness.
Anybody else? Go ahead. Mr. Weinstein, you can go third. All right.
Thank you, Your Honor. Sudi Chalak, Jimenez, on behalf of Mr. Dorsey. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, sir.
Now, what was your name again?
Walter Pineda.
Mr. Pineda, how are you?
Fine.
All right. So we spoke a little bit about the way that you developed your expertise, what you claim to be your expertise, and you said you used to enhance tape back in the day, right?
Film.
Film. And then film developed into VHS, is that right? And then CDs, is that right?
Correct.
And now they're hard drives.
Correct.
Okay. So now, is it fair to say that technology has changed drastically?
It has.
Have you received any training as it comes to the new technology that is used nowadays in the video recording?
I have not.
Okay.
But the last time that I worked for Pinkerton, we already were using hard drives.
But you haven't been trained formally by any agency or any education from any school?
They don't have anything available for that.
All right. Now, when the state asked you, did you receive any further training, your response was that you have gotten training as a bilingual interpreter and as a medical interpretation. Is that right?
Correct.
All right. And those things have absolutely nothing to do with video enhancement. Is that right?
Yes, that's right.
You don't need to speak Spanish to be able to enhance a video.
Correct.
Now, you describe the way that you do it, but you have not told us if that is the way that everybody else does it. Is that right?
I don't know how everybody else does it, but the way I do it, that's the way I've been doing it for years.
Okay. And do you have a bachelor's degree?
No, sir, I don't.
Do you have any type of education with IT?
I don't have.
Okay. Do you have an associate's degree?
No, I don't.
You have a high school degree?
I have a high school. Yes, I have a high school degree and I have a diploma on professional photography and design.
All right. Where did you get your diploma on professional photography?
Southeastern Center for the Photographic Arts.
And when did you get that?
I got that in 1987.
1987. Has the technology that was used in 1987 changed drastically to the technology used, say, from 2010 to 2022?
I believe so.
Have you been trained in that new technology by any formal education agency?
No, I have not.
Now, when you say that you have testified over 50 times, is that right?
More than 50 times, yes, sir.
And when was the last time that you testified?
I testified over probably about 6 months ago in DeKalb County.
DeKalb County, okay. Now, you also said that you have testified for the defense sometimes, is that right?
Yes, I have.
How many times out of those 50 plus times?
I would say more than 10 times.
About 10 times, okay. Now, when you enhance these videos, you describe as you break it up into 4 sections, is that right?
No, I break it up into 4 sections and use only one section.
Okay, and when you break it up into that 4 sections and use that one section, what do you do with that one section?
That one section follow up on the images involved on that particular event. So I get all the images involved. Let's see if the person is going by. I capture every single event of the person going in front of the camera.
But other than freeze framing the video, what do you actually do? What is the process to, as you say, enhance these images?
All I do is get closer, and if the image is too noisy, you reduce the noise out.
Is that something that I could do if I had the right software to get it done?
You can do it if it's up to you, yes.
So any layperson that has the right software could just go ahead and do that?
If they will have the experience, they want to do it, it's up to them.
But so you don't have to have a degree or any level of expertise to actually do that?
Correct.
Is it fair to say that sometimes some careers just with technology advancement just become obsolete?
Not this particular one. I mean, I've been doing it for 30 years.
Then how come are you moonlighting as an interpreter as well?
No.
Okay, so how come you haven't gotten any further training as to the technology?
Because people have not using video technology as much as they used to do it in the past.
Okay. Has anybody ever reviewed your work? Has there ever been any peer review of the work that you do?
I'm not aware of. I mean, the only thing is give the evidence to the prosecution or to defense, to the police department, and they're satisfied with it, and they are.
What is the name of the software that you use?
I use a software called Photoshop.
Photoshop. That's the one I can get on the Apple Store?
It's up to you, whatever you want to do it.
Thank you, sir. No further questions.
Mr. Pineda, Mr. Pineda,
Yes, sir.
over here. How many video enhancements have you done over the course of 30 years? Just ballpark.
I would say over 500.
Over 500? Okay, all right. Next.
Doug Weinstein for Mr. Kendrick. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
You were saying that you're not aware of any organizations that certify video enhancement technicians. Is that correct?
I don't.
Are you familiar with the International Association of Identification?
No, sir.
Are you aware that they have certifications? Pardon me?
I sustain the objection.
Okay.
Remember, it's knowledge, skill, experience, training, or education, okay?
Are you certified by them as a forensic video technician?
No.
Are you certified by them for forensic photography?
No.
Are you familiar with the paper by the Scientific Working Group on Imaging Technology that lays out guidelines for following imaging
No.
techniques? So according to their guidelines, you're supposed to keep a documented record of the techniques that you use. Do you keep a documented record of what you do?
I don't.
It also states that you should have peer review of your work. Is there peer review of your work?
I don't know. I don't know who has reviewed it.
I'm sorry, could you say that
I
again?
said I don't know who has reviewed it. No, I don't.
Are there others in your company that review your work?
No. I work independently, sir.
The guidelines also state that there should be annual training. Do you participate in any annual training?
I have not.
Your Honor, object to their last question. Witness testified that he's not familiar with the guidelines.
I asked if he participated in annual training.
Training, that's different. I'll overrule the objection.
Have you undergone any competency testing?
No.
The guidelines also specify that there should be proficiency testing. Have you had any proficiency testing?
No.
The guidelines also state that there should be standard operating procedures for image enhancement. Do you have a set of standard operating procedures that you follow?
I do.
And what are those standard operating procedures?
Like I told you before, I follow up the way that I always do it in every single enhanced video that I work in.
And are those standard operating procedures written down somewhere?
No, sir.
So
Something I learned through the years.
Your technique for image processing involves breaking the image up into four, can I say quadrants? Is that fair?
Correct.
When you analyze those quadrants, do you do that in the spatial domain or the frequency domain?
The frequency domain means the frame that I obtain out, in which is highlighted. So I follow that by every single image that I'm working in.
I'm not sure that you followed the question. Sir, do you know what frequency domain processing is?
Not specifically, no. But
Do
the
you know
only-
what, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
No, finish your answer, please.
No, go ahead.
Sir, do you know what spatial domain processing is?
The spatial is the space, I think, is the space in which you are involved according to the images on the monitor.
Do you know the circumstances where you should use spatial domain processing?
No, I don't.
Do you know the circumstances where you should use frequency domain processing?
No, I don't.
When you're seeking information from the image, do you know when it's appropriate to use spatial domain processing versus frequency domain processing?
I'm not familiar with that.
I stand the objection.
And the last question, sir, is your particular processing technique. Do you have any publications?
No, sir.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Anybody else?
I do, Judge.
Couple means two. Don't lie to me, okay? So, go ahead.
Colloquialism, Your Honor. Now, I just had a few questions. So, do you ever compare one of your enhanced videos to a video of the same thing but of higher quality to see if your enhancement actually made it look enhanced?
If you're telling me about a video from 10 years ago and a video right now for 4K, you will see the difference. From 10 years ago, it's very grainy. From today's, it's very clear. I can see your freckles. I can see your eyelashes.
Okay, it's true though. I don't have freckles though, do I?
Oh,
I stand the objection.
Okay, but what I was really asking you is, have you ever taken maybe a HD camera and videotaped something, and then taken a non-HD video camera and videotaped the same thing, and then supposedly enhanced the non-HD one so we can compare the two and see if your work actually makes any difference at all?
yes, I have.
Okay, and how many times have you done that?
That's 'cause, like I said one time, 10 years ago, I used VHS cameras. Today, I have myself a new camcorder, 4K, so you can see the difference. I did not take the same thing, but when you do the close-ups or the enhancements of it, you can see the difference and the details on the image.
Okay, and did you record that anywhere, the accuracy
No, I
of that?
don't, didn't record it.
And that was 10 years ago?
No, I did the video on 4K not too long ago and the VHS years ago.
Okay, and then you said you use Photoshop to enhance the images?
Yes, sir.
And it's also true that Photoshop can be used to alter images?
Yes, they can be used, but I haven't.
Okay, and how are we supposed to tell, besides taking your word for it, that you haven't altered any images?
You tell me which one I have done, and then I'll respond to it.
Okay, so just your responses.
If you have something that I've done that is being altered by me, you let me know.
Okay, and then once we let you know, what's going to happen next?
I don't know.
Basis. Relevance.
Your Honor, it goes to his direct previous question.
As to in terms of what? What previous
Like
question?
how the general question still hasn't been answered, but how are we going to know whether one of his work product items has been altered in
Is that an
Photoshop?
issue in this case?
Yeah.
You think that he's altered one of the documents or altered it?
No, Your Honor, credibility is always that issue. And
That's
so,
weight. That doesn't go to the things that I'm the gatekeeper, remember? So part of that is, do you have something that would indicate to me that he should be disqualified because he's altered something? I don't think there's been anything in terms of foundation.
Your Honor, my point would be that if there isn't a way to know whether he's altered it or not, that goes to the weight and the credibility.
Well, that's a determination for the jury to make. But of course, I'll make an initial threshold under Daubert. But the relevancy issue is kind of waning, so move on.
Okay. So apart from asking you and you answering, we don't have any way to know whether or not you've altered images in Photoshop.
It's up to the person to decide, not mine.
Okay. And what person do you mean?
It could be you, it could be the jury. I don't know.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I don't have any more questions, Your Honor.
Anybody else? Any other defense attorneys? Okay, all right.
Your Honor, I would want to also move to qualify him as an expert in bilingual language interpretation. You did say that he's trained in that.
That's not what you're here for. That's not what he's here for.
I'm trying to make him here for that for a trial for my own reasons.
But you need to subpoena him and pay him. Okay? And then maybe he'll show up. But don't try and circumvent the process. There's a way to subpoena witnesses and everything else. If you want to qualify him as a bilingual, if you have a separate need and employment, then I'll let you do that off kind of at your discretion and your leisure, okay? But that's not the time to do it now.
Okay, Judge, and for the record, it was just that based on his answers to the state's questions.
I know, but that just fills out what he's been doing the past 30 years, okay? In terms of what he has done, additional education he's gotten. You've already kind of examined him about that. It has nothing to do with video enhancement. It's just another skill set that he has, okay? But it's not relevant for the inquiry that he's making right now. All right?
Brief reading record.
All right?
Mr. Pineda, how many times have you qualified as an expert?
Objection, asked and answered.
I sustain the objection. He said over 50 times.
Mr. Matthews.
Carlton Matthews.
And then say the objection.
Asked and answered.
Thank you.
And I sustain the objection. Christine has been asked and answered. He said he testified over 50 times.
Mr. Pineda, have you kept up with the current technologies?
No, I have not.
Was this an old video that you performed video enhancement for?
Yes.
No further questions, Your Honor. Thank you.
Any argument on this particular witness before I go ahead and make a decision? Mr. Adams?
Yes, sir. Just very briefly on behalf of Mr. Williams, the issue before the court is whether or not he should be qualified as, if I'm correct, I think the state is moving to qualify him as a forensic video analyst. Did I get that correct?
Yes, sir. Forensic video analysis.
I would say to the court, Your Honor, based clearly upon the responses to the questions put before this witness, and in consideration of the Daubert standard and Rule 702, that this witness is clearly not qualified under that standard. I would just state the court knows the law, so I will just say that under the Daubert standard, we look towards relevance and reliability of the witness's testimony. Putting aside the relevance, that's not really what we're talking about. We're talking about reliability of the technique, of the proffer testimony that would be offered. And although 702 and Daubert is somewhat flexible, it's geared towards scientific validity and the principles that underlie a proposed submission, in this case, a video enhancement. We don't look towards the conclusion, we look towards the principles and the methodology, and we look towards whether or not there's been a testing of the experts, the proffered experts' theory. There has not been. We look for whether or not there's been publication in support of the expert's method or theory. There's no testimony that there has been any of that. We look towards, the court is advised under Daubert to look towards.
What about his education? Because that's kind of the issue for me is, so we want to talk about that or his experience, I should say. He's been doing this 30 years, so.
Education and experience is factors that the court can look to as well, but and I heard the witness testify that he has testified in regards to video enhancements upwards of 50 times. Those 50 testimonies could all have been improper. They could have been wrong because the methodology has to be tested. They could all very well have been done under the Harper standard, which is no longer the law in the state of Georgia. The question before the court is whether or not this witness meets the Daubert requirements. And I would say to the court that simply looking at the responses to the questions, both on direct and on cross, or on voir dire, that he does not. That the witnesses testified that there are no protocols to the methodology used by him. He is unable to indicate whether or not his method or his methodology is generally accepted. There is no peer review. It's not just that he doesn't know if there's any peer review. There is no peer review of his methodology. There is no testimony as to the error rate of his methodology. Under all of those factors, he fails, or this witness fails in terms of being able to be qualified as an expert. And I would ask the court to deny the state's request to qualify this gentleman as an expert.
All right, anybody wish to add to Mr. Adams? What he is, don't regurgitate, but just add if you've got anything to that.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Mr. Johnson.
On behalf of Mr. Eppinger,
All right.
Your Honor, the court pointed out the education and experience in this particular case. The witness testified that he had performed almost 500 of these video analysis over 30 years. That breaks down to less than 2 per month over the past 30 years. He also testified that he does not have any formal education or no continuing education with regards to these things over the past 30 years. Those are 2 things that he directly testified to. He has not shown that he has the requisite experience in this particular matter to be qualified as an expert, and as such, neither the education, Your Honor. So we believe that under Daubert, he should not be qualified as an expert. Thank you.
All right, anybody else? Okay, all right. Looking at 24-7-702, testimony by expert witnesses. B, if scientific, technical, or other specialized knowledge will assist the trier of fact to understand the evidence or determine a fact and issue, a witness qualifies as an expert by knowledge, skill, experience, training, or education may testify thereto in the form of an opinion or otherwise. Before I forgot, state wish to be heard in terms of argument, in terms of the...
Yes, Your Honor, if the court would mind.
Sure, I don't mind. No.
Your Honor, so I want to be clear that what we're basing our request to qualify this gentleman as an expert is in the video enhancement, the forensic video enhancement, and we are just referring to that older video. The video is from 2015, so I want to start with that. Additionally, Your Honor, although Mr. Adams correctly stated to Daubert, obviously after Daubert we have Kumho-Tyre, and Kumho-Tyre explains how we can qualify these experts when they don't have, when it's not that scientific process, when it's not that straightforward, here's a GBI witness, here's what they do, here's a scientific method. Kumho-Tyre provides us an avenue to qualify experts based on experience. And this is going to be something that the court's probably going to hear a lot about with our next witness as well. But basically, with experts like this, the 11th Circuit, and I'd like to point to the 11th Circuit because in Rule 702, obviously this being a new rule to criminal law in Georgia, the legislature has directed us to look to not only the 11th Circuit, but also to all federal courts. But I'll start with the 11th Circuit. United States versus Augustin, that's a 2011 case out of the 11th Circuit, and I can provide all the sites for the court if the court would like me to. In that case, the 11th Circuit said, we note that Federal Rule of Evidence 702 does not define an expert in a narrow sense. And in this case, they were qualifying a gang expert. And the court said, in light of the substantial experience that Agent Young had with respect to street gangs, we conclude that the district court was within its discretion in determining that the agent was qualified to give expert testimony. And this is something that happens a lot. The 11th Circuit, and this is another case out of the 11th Circuit, a 2015 case called United States versus Wilson. In United States versus Wilson, the court held that because a Daubert inquiry must be tied to particular facts of the case, the actual Daubert factors, the ones that Mr. Adams referenced, those Daubert factors may or may not be pertinent in assessing reliability depending on the nature of the issue, the expert's particular expertise, and the subject of the testimony. As such, a district court maintains the same kind of latitude in deciding how to test an expert's reliability and to decide whether or when special briefing or other proceedings are needed to investigate reliability, as it enjoys when it decides whether or not an expert's testimony is reliable.
Okay, but here's the thing I want you to focus on for me, Ms. Rosenwasser. That is, you're asking me to court to qualify him as a forensic video, an expert in the area of forensic video analysis. He's not certified by a national accrediting body, which is something that there is an entity or an organization that does provide certification for that particular type of analysis. He has no annual training, and his competency hasn't been tested. So the principles and methodology are something that the court has to really look at in this case. He's got 30 years of experience, yes, but there are other things that Daubert requires me to look at in terms of a gatekeeping function. You're asking me to qualify him as a forensic examiner. That's different. If he had some of those other things, like certifications, I wouldn't have so much of a problem. Convince me that otherwise, because it looks like from looking at, under Daubert and 702, testimony is based on sufficient facts or data. The testimony is a product of reliable principles and methods, and the witnesses applied those principles and methods reliably to the facts of the case, which have or will be admitted in evidence before the trier of fact. So I have great discretion, of course, and it's abuse of discretion for whatever my ruling is.
Absolutely.
So that's why I'm trying to ask you, given those issues of not being certified by a national body, which there is one, no annual training, and that's just 3, and then there's no competency or testing. So tell me why I should, I should look to, and I've read Kumo. I know about Kumo. Kumo goes hand in hand. That for the non-scientific folks, it lets the courts kind of use that gatekeeping function, because part of the gatekeeping function, am I citing Wilson versus Redmond Construction? It's 359 Georgia Appeals 814. It's a 2021 case, and I have to make this gatekeeping function. It requires me to act as a gatekeeper to ensure speculative and unreliable opinions don't reach the jury. As a gatekeeper, the court must do a preliminary assessment of the reasoning and methodology underlying the testimony is scientifically valid, and of whether that reasoning or methodology can properly be applied to the facts in this case. And so the trouble I have is you want me to qualify him as forensic. So forensic indicates to the court that there's some level of training, expertise, certification, peer review, or something to that effect.
So, Your Honor, I was wondering if I could amend my co-counsel's request. If we could qualify him only in the expert in the very limited field of video enhancement.
I would do that.
That's what we would like to have, Your Honor.
I would do that.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Adams, and I'm going to overrule your. I'll hear your issue, but I believe he is qualified in that particular area of video enhancement. But forensic, I will not qualify him in that.
Your Honor, for purposes of perfecting the record, and
yes,
on behalf of Mr. Williams, we would take exception to the court's rule in that regard. Our argument essentially would be that the same arguments in regards to Daubert and 702 that we proffered previously would apply to whether he's being qualified as a forensic analyst or a video enhancer. And we believe that the statements and the evidence that's been put forth so far do not meet the requirements of Daubert or 702, even under this newly proffered expertise.
Well, I'll of course professionally disagree with you. I think that from the court's listening to his testimony, Mr. Pineda's testimony, he's been doing this for 30 years. There is a methodology that he follows, the four-part division. That certainly he followed that in this particular case. I think that would be helpful to the jury in this particular matter. So it's different than being a forensic, because then forensic, I should say, video analysis. So I'll respectfully overrule or note your objection for the record.
And ask for continued objection, of course.
All right.
And on behalf of Mr. Stillwell, who's directly affected by this evidence as well, we will join in Mr. Adams' argument and adopt all of his arguments.
Okay, if you're not, Mr. Harvey did you all a favor yesterday, okay? Yeah. Unless there's something else, then I'm going to assume that everybody's going to have the same objection or same bases, okay? And continuing objection. Yes, Ms. Sharp.
Your Honor, can I just add something?
Sure.
On behalf of Mr. Myra?
Yes.
I understand the court's ruling, but it's still, his methodology has not been tested. And that's the additional thing that I would add. It hasn't been tested, it hasn't been peer reviewed, hasn't been tested. We have no idea whether or not his methodology, the way that he does it.
Under Kumu, have you taken a look at Kumu Tire?
I did, Judge.
526 U.S. 137, 1999. Okay, and that allows the court to look at other factors for non-scientific, and this is non-scientific. It's more so not like chemistry, biology, physics, that kind of thing that can be tested. That can be that there's either a right or a wrong answer. So I'm required under Kumu to go ahead and at least, if I can look at the other factors in terms of the subject matter of his testimony and expertise, reliability. I'll note your objection for the record. Okay. All right.
But Your Honor, Kumo Tire doesn't apply here. This is scientific analysis that he is doing. I don't understand what can be more scientific than using Fourier transforms, discrete cosine transforms. You're taking it into a different domain.
No, you are, because you're adding things that haven't been testified to.
He testified that he doesn't know.
Okay, and that goes to weight and sufficiency. In terms of, it can go to weight and sufficiency. I have a gatekeeping function, but beside that, you're welcome on cross to take him to task on any of that.
But your gatekeeping function ensures that methods analysis that doesn't follow reliable, established standards doesn't get in front of the jury. And this gentleman, while he's been doing it for a long time, is not following the methodology that's established in this industry. He's using his own method.
The Daubert factors, I'm quoting out of Kumu, Daubert factors do not constitute a definite checklist or test, and a gatekeeping inquiry must be tied to particular facts. So, particular facts are, he enhances, he blows this thing up into divides it into four parts, and he can testify about that. You're welcome to go ahead, and he's been doing that for 30 years, and certainly the types of videography has changed over that particular period of time. That's what he's going to testify to. You all certainly, there are issues of weight and credibility that I'm sure that you'll go ahead and examine him on. Anything else?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. All right, Mr. Johnson, anything else?
Yes, on behalf of Mr. Evans, Your Honor. With regards to the determination that this is such a scientific matter that it assists the jury, his testimony will assist the jury. He has testified that he uses nothing more than Photoshop, which is a product that is sold to the common public that can be used by anybody. So understanding that Photoshop does not need to be bolstered by his designation as an expert in this particular case. And also, the fact that him saying he's been doing this 30 years should not carry weight, given the fact that he's using technology that has not even existed for maybe 10 to 15 years which he testified that he only uses maybe twice a month based on those things.
And he's been qualified 50 times in, or actually in DeKalb, Fulton, Cobb, and Gwinnett, so, and Fulton. So, all right. Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Thank you. All right, Mr. Suri, anything, sir?
Yeah, John Studi Chalky, on behalf of Mr. Dorsey, just, we respectfully disagree, Your Honor, and just saying that as he testified, any layperson could do this. We do have an objection as to him being labeled an expert. It will be, again, bolstering. They can just present him as a witness, as the technician, that enhance the video, and explain to the jury what he actually did, not that he has an expertise in that, and not that it's something any different than their investigator or even an intern could have done. So just wanted to say that, Your Honor, that any layperson could do what he's doing, and that is what distinguishes an expert. Thank you.
Ms. Rosenwasser, one more thing. What about the issue of somebody, I mean, Photoshop he used Photoshop in this particular case, didn't he?
Your Honor, could I ask him?
Mr. Pineda, did you use what program or did you use to enhance the video in this case?
Photoshop.
Photoshop. He did. All right. So what's to say that, as Mr. Suri's mentioned already, about anybody else being able to use Photoshop?
Your Honor, my understanding from...
'Cause I don't need to designate him as an expert for him to testify.
Absolutely. When we went to qualify, and we wanted to do this out of essentially an abundance of caution to ensure that maybe the jury would want to know how that these were enhanced, and we thought that he would be able to explain that based on his years of testimony and experience. So my understanding is that based on his experience, my understanding to the answer to the question where he mentioned that anyone could do this, it was not only that anyone could use Photoshop, but anyone who knows how to use Photoshop and learns over a period of years how to enhance better on it. But should the court wish to find he is only admissible as a lay witness, we'll put in the videos through him as a lay witness. That's fine too. We just want to get the videos in. I don't care who's coming.
Mr. Jimenez, you convinced me. I do believe that given the fact that this is a readily available program, Photoshop, and that anybody with a varying level of skill and practice can do that, I won't qualify him as an expert. I'm just going to let him testify as a layperson for the above mentioned reasons, okay? All right?
Thank you, Your Honor. We'll call him as a lay witness.
That's fine. All right. Mr. Pineda, I'm going to go ahead and excuse you as a witness. Appreciate your patience with us. And the state will call you, or that's will call you. You might get a call from Mr. Menendez over here to interpret. But that's a separate issue, okay? And make sure you're patient. All right. So, but please don't discuss your testimony with anybody except the attorneys in this case, okay? All right. Thank you, sir. Counsels and those who are interested, before I take up your next witness, you have the other witness, Mr.
Investigator Hall. Yes, Investigator Hall is here, Your Honor.
Okay, I'm gonna, let's just pause on him just a second. Do you have your other witness related to Mr. Stillwell's motion to dismiss?
Your Honor, we are not ready on that right now. We can be ready for that immediately after Investigator Hall's testimony.
How come he's not here? I thought you all said you're gonna have him available.
We can make him if Your Honor can give me 10 minutes, I can get everybody down to do that hearing.
That's fine. Let me give you 10 minutes. I have to, there's something else I need, unrelated court business I need to take up. So let me go ahead and deal with Mr. Stillwell next, and then we'll start on Mr. Hall probably this afternoon. But let's go ahead and get Mr. Stillwell done first, okay? So we're going to recess about 15 minutes. and we'll go ahead and.
Can we keep Investigator Hall here, Your Honor?
Hang tight. Have him come back for 1 o'clock, please, madam, okay?
Okay, thank you, Your
All
Honor.
right. Okay, we're in recess.